you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Merry Christmas. For the second year in a row, we're doing a Christmas episode for some bizarre reason, especially when one of the people who will probably be listening to this is actually on the podcast as well. But it's me, it's Andy Gillard. Hope everyone's having a great day so far.
Yeah, normally when I listen, I know it's not aimed at me, but normally I do actually listen to podcasts because I normally do the washing up and listen to podcasts. But no washing up this year, no dinners to clear off because we're going elsewhere. So there's a whole hour to hour and a half now vacant to drink more. Hello, everyone. I'm back.
He's back and he's well this time. No, it will be still. I might not do it this year because I'm on it for half of the podcast, but it is normally my my washing up podcast of choice.
Super. So, gents, the purpose of this podcast, we've got a few things that we need to discuss. Obviously, since we last met up, Rob Reiner sadly left this mortal coil. We've got a bit of a gap between now and when we do our preview, so we need to talk about what's coming up in the next few weeks. We need to answer the question, are these films really Christmas films? And then myself and Stu, there's one more film of our saviour, Nicolas Cage, that we need to discuss. It was released about a month or so ago in the cinemas, but as far as I'm aware, Stu, I don't think it came, I don't even know if it came out in the UK, but it's now available to stream. The Carpenter's Son, I think it's called, about Jesus, and it's just the right time of year to talk about it.
The boy, not Jesus.
The boy, yeah, that's the one.
And Satan.
Fuck's sake. We'll get into it, but Jesus H. Christ. But as I said, yeah, sadly, since we last three met up, Rob Reiner is no longer with us. And I feel like this is the time of year that Rob Reiner generally comes to mind because he's made probably the most famous New Year's Eve scene in When Harry Met Sally. It's just one of the greatest scenes of all time, let alone when you put it in context of where we are in this year. When he was sadly taken from us, there was a lot of people on Twitter talking about his run of films. So when he first started making movies, his first 7 films, I'm just pulling up his IMDb page because I'm not very well prepared. The first 7 films in which he directed, he started out with This is Spinal Tap in 1984, I think it is. Yeah,
Yep.
No, 1984. Then he did a film called The Sure Thing, which I've got to be honest, is probably the only film I haven't seen of his from this period. That's got a 7.0 though, so it's still a strong film. We've then got Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. Those were his that was like his debut run as a director. Ed, like, taking away the debut of it all, there aren't many directors who you can say have had 5 absolute fucking genre-defining films, let alone 7, and let alone 7 off the bat.
Yeah, it's hit after hit after hit, isn't it? And I mean, When Harry Met Sally, I would argue, is the first ever rom-com, really.
It's at least the one that defined the genre.
Yeah, the defining genre of can men and women be more than friends? I mean, even that's the main part of the storyline, isn't it? And I always go, and this is going to annoy Stu. Rob Reiner is in the zeitgeist because my first ever foray into his work was through The Simpsons, with Sideshow Bob saying, you can't handle the truth. I despise your truth handling abilities. You know what I mean? From A Few Good Men. That film was so relevant. It was brought up in one of the the biggest sitcoms that's ever been, in The Simpsons. So it is hit after. And also, I think really interestingly, it's not all the same style of film. These are quite different films. Obviously, comedy is in through most of them, but A Few Good Men is nothing like When Harry Met Sally. Stand By Me stands on its own, really, without wanting to use that pun. And then on top of that, we have Spinal Tap, which again is genre defining in terms of sort of that documentary comedy following the band around it. It's all very different. And then Misery, of course, with Kathy Bates, is very different as well. It's just he seems to be able to turn his hand to most things.
Yeah, I mean, like I've made no secret on this podcast, I'm a fan of auteur directors. I like a director who has a visual style, but Rob Reiner pretty much defeats that argument that you need to be an auteur to be a good director, because he's what I think would have been a studio director back in the day. You give him the good script and he will just make a great film out of it. And I think you look at this, I mean, obviously not Spinal Tap because there was no script, but that in itself is a talent to then still put together the film that he did. It's just incredible. And obviously he then goes full circle and he ends it with Spinal Tap 2, which is sadly poetic. Stu, couple of really strong Stephen King novels in there without being like out and out horror stuff, but he did manage to capture the spirit of what you think of when you think of Stephen King, I believe.
Yeah, and there was quotes from Stephen King almost immediately as well about this. I mean, when I saw it at first, I thought it was Judge Rinder who died, which was quite devastating. And
very different.
Yeah, very different person. And it took me a while to think, oh, yeah, that guy. And then I went back to the usual thing, IMDb. I thought, oh, yeah, he did that. And then he did that. And then that. And I thought, oh, yeah, this guy, how his name wasn't at the front and centre of my head is like quite astonishing, really, when you look at his body of work. And I think it sums it up when... I know when watching NFL at the weekend that there was a lot of promotion on CBS for the Golden Globes, obviously, because it's the season. But every single ad break was for that. Every other one, they had a still image of his face. It was brilliant. Absolutely respect. And they mentioned it in commentary in the 3 different games that I watched yesterday. Dated this. They mentioned him. Like people who you don't like, they might be being fed this stuff, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like people who have at least seen one of his films, and that kind of sums it up because he is not just a genre man; he's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. He smashed down boundaries, I think, realistically, and obviously he did have quite a pronounced political voice as well. Like he was big on the anti-smoking movement and all these other things. So. He was known, I think, outside of just his film work. But if you look at just his film work, that is a hell of a legacy to leave. Absolutely incredible and just terrible, terrible news. Moving on. So we usually don't do our preview of the next year until like a little bit later in January. So we've got a few weeks at this point where we've got the perineum, the bit in between the 2 good bits. Anaconda is a film which is due out, which I think is getting like a little bit of like I haven't seen anything saying it's good or bad or what, but it's getting a little bit of press because it's Jack Black, it's Paul Rudd. It's a bit of a dream team, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, and Paul Rudd, I think around this time of year, probably we should check in on him to make sure he hasn't sold his soul to the devil, because that man doesn't look any different to when he was in Friends, 20-something years ago? And I'm yet to. I've seen Jack Black be in bad films, or I'm yet to see Jack Black be bad in a film. Personally, I think he's tends to be the best thing on in a scene. It's piqued my interest. It's definitely the ad I get all the time on YouTube. It's the only social media I really follow, and all of it screams awful movie. But with Paul Rudd and Jack Black, you kind of would at least give it time of the day when it gets onto streaming. If not, go and watch it live. But it's probably getting a bit of a buzz because we are in this almost perineum part of where we are in the year, and with Christmas sort of falling on a Thursday, there's some days to fill. So why not go and see it? And you might as well go and see something absolutely daft. The only problem I've got is the trailer shows you one of the characters, something happens to one of what looks like one of the main characters. So that's the only thing that's sort of grating me a little bit from what I've seen.
I've avoided all trailers because I knew I'd be seeing it, and I kind of want to see it in the cinema because I think comedies are like 20% better if you see them with an audience.
Yeah, it's the audience that's going to be the interesting part about it, because once everyone's rightfully seen Avatar, Fire and Ash, there's only SpongeBob and there's nothing else. So remember
strangely quiet, isn't it? Very weird.
I remember that one. Was it Dear Santa, the Jack Black film we watched last year? That was actually all right, and it wasn't. But
he was Satan.
Yeah. But it was so stupid that you think you can't help but laugh at it. That's what this seems to me. It's like, it's a great idea of I'm amazed hasn't been done before, really, for a film that still looks okay from CG wise for how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't need a remake. So how do you do it? Well, you do it this way. So even if it's shit, you're gonna smile at least once or twice. So I mean, I probably won't get to it now until it comes out later on. But I'm kind of glad this kind of. Oh, we said this before. We said this in the summer, like with Naked Gun. I'm glad this silly bollocks exists still.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's a B movie about a B movie. I like the inception of it. I think that's really smart. I'm excited. Just like Ed said, I'm just a fan of Jack Black. I'll watch him in pretty much anything. And you throw in a bit of Paul Rudd as well. I can't really argue with it. So, yeah, I'll be there for that one. One film that I'm quite looking forward to at the moment is a movie called Hamnet, which is Chloe Zhao, who did Nomadland and The Eternals, which did not go down particularly well. But she's an exceptional director, and Hamnet is about Agnes and William Shakespeare's grapple with the grief of the death of their son. Hamnet then led to William Shakespeare writing Hamlet. I'm not really a big fan of Shakespeare, if I'm perfectly honest, but all of the news about this is this film is going to be an awards contender, especially they're saying Jessie Buckley's performance. And she's someone who I think is, if anyone can rival Emma Stone on her current form, it's probably someone like Jessie Buckley. So I'm really looking forward to that one coming out. Saipan is another film that we should be getting at some point in January. Now, we're all old enough to remember the events of, what was it, shove it up your bollocks, you English cunt, was it? Roy Keane's immortal words to Mick McCarthy. Stu, of all footballing events, is this the one to make into a real film? Like, it just seems so utterly bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know like how you can stretch it into a whole film. And it's kind of funny, like how they left it Umbro left it too late to respond, so they've got knockoff Umbro badges on the shirts.
Trust you to notice that part as well, Stu.
Yeah, of course.
No, well, they've got the Iacom logo on, and they've got the Irish FA badge. Everything's spot on apart from the Umbro, which is a bit like Pro Evo level. And that's what they said on. I think it might have been on Clichés actually, where they said, "Oh, it's a shame, but it was Umbro's own fault." That they asked them for it, and they just didn't get back to them, so they had to film it, so they had to put this knockoff stuff on there. But actually, it makes it more funny because it's obviously it's not actually Lee Carsley there. It's people doing it. What seems to be a very decent impression of the people involved. So, of a strange story that it is, I still am completely baffled it exists. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, who's it for? Like, non-football people ain't going to be bothered.
No.
Football people probably aren't going to be bothered either, to be honest.
I mean, we watched a lot of stuff for the when we did the football films over on Fancast years ago. This would be up there in the bottom selection, straight from the off. But am I going to watch it? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm a big fan of, I was going to call him Alan Partridge, of Steve Coogan. I think he's actually a really good dramatic actor as well as a comedic actor. And in playing someone like Mick McCarthy, someone who is an orator, someone who can tell a story, someone who can like deliver a joke, I feel like we could get a bit of both sides of Coogan, Ed.
Yeah, definitely. He throws himself into his character work as well, doesn't he? We've seen it obviously with the slightly more controversial Jimmy Savile role that he's played as well, haven't we? So who it's for, why it's for, I don't know. But I think what you've got, at least with Coogan at the helm, is he's going to take it seriously, even though nothing about this feels serious. So that gives it an air of legitimacy. How they can make a film about a captain leaving a World Cup squad, I don't know. But I know I've watched films with a lot less drama around them. So let's see what he does with it.
So the event itself happened in the 2002 World Cup. So I would have been 19. Yeah, I think I'd have either been coming 19 or would have been 19 at this point. I can't imagine you're going to get many people under the age of 40 going to this, because I just don't think most of them will have given a shit at the time or be old enough now to even remember it. It's a very strange story to have picked, but I'm glad it exists and I'm very excited to see it nonetheless.
It's going to be box office in Ireland at the very least, right? Maybe there's a massive film-going population in Ireland that people want to tap into. I don't know.
I'm just getting images of Father Ted holding up that sign about boycotting this film. Down with this sort of thing. 28 Years Later is also due out mid-January. Ed, you said you haven't seen 28 Years Later, the first part yet. We know you're not a massive horror fan, but you have seen the original.
Yep.
So was there a reason in particular why not 28 Years Later, or was it just the case of it just you're a bit too scared for it?
Well, the first one I watched with a group of mates, so therefore I had to pretend I wasn't going to be overly bothered by zombies. And then when the second one came out, I didn't have that peer pressure, so I just didn't go for it. But when I mentioned on the last pod that I was quite impressed with my own ability to handle Sinners and some of the graphic nature of that film, I think I'll give this one a whirl, to be honest. It's an interesting concept, and of course, with now where we are with post-pandemic, and we've seen viruses that can change the world. It's apt, but I remember enjoying the first film, and I know that you guys were quite impressed with the middle one, weren't you? So it's something I'll probably give a go, but I probably wouldn't go to the cinema for it. But when it's out on streaming, I think I'll be all over it.
Stu, the early reviews have been very positive of this. They're all clamouring for a third instalment of the Year saga now. I'm really excited. Obviously, the way the last one ended being so fucking bizarre, so utterly out of this world, I'm expecting this to be a little bit crazy, and I'm all for it, because obviously the two previous instalments we've had of this particular run of the... I know Cillian Murphy's due to come in later, but of the Cillian Murphy story rather than the Weeks world. they've been meditations of grief and, big human emotions. And I have a funny feeling this one might be a little bit more pop culture focused. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, the whole Jimmy's thing is genius. Having the last 5 minutes of a pretty somber, serious film as a backdoor pilot for your next film is mental. I don't want to expect anything from it, because if it's a whole film like that last 5 minutes, it's going to be one of the best things ever.
Mm-hmm.
But can it be? Like, can they stretch a whole thing of that level of stuff? Still pretty new, so kind of too much. That level of stuff for a whole film is going to be overkill. Don't know. I'll be there, obviously. Because what they did do was intrigue me. I mean, we like these films anyway. We'd probably still be there.
Mm-hmm.
But doing what they did, they got me day one. Bastards.
Yeah, absolutely. The final film that I wanted to mention to you both was a movie called... Right, so it's called Soulmate, but it's spelled SOULM, the number 8, TE. So that's Soulmatey, not Soulmate. Like, shouldn't it just be Soul M8? Not... I don't know what they've done there. It's stupid. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But basically, it's a movie... now, I don't know if it's a direct spin-off to Megan 2.0, but I believe it is sort of loosely based in that world. A man acquires an artificial intelligent android to cope with the loss of his recently deceased wife. Now, I'm all for your Black Mirror, your technophobia. I think it's quite an interesting thing, especially with the way of the world over the last 20 years, where technology is, twice as fast and half the size every 6 months. I don't think I've seen a good AI-centered film for quite some time, and I'm kind of worried they're just going to churn out shit like this. Ed, not being the horror fanatic, what do you make of like the overuse of AI in these things at this point? Does it just feel like it's jumping on the bandwagon a little bit?
Yeah, it's in the zeitgeist, isn't it? We're all worried about AI. What jobs are our kids going to have? Well, there are stories in the work that I do. There's a lot of people worried that some of their jobs will be taken up by AI, because some people do data entry and all those things that could be taken away. So it's a really easy plot point, isn't it? And it's also, I wonder if it's one less character to have to flesh out, because the AI can just be autonomous, can't it? It just has what it wants to do and it does that. So we don't have to worry about a background of that character. So one of the main characters you don't have to flesh out. It's probably really easy to write as well, isn't it?
Good point.
I think it means that the normally antagonist in these films doesn't need to be more than quite literally 1 or 2 dimensional. We don't need to have any flaws. The flaws will be the AI is in control, and it's a worry, and therefore we should all worry about it. It's it feels like a really easy write, and it feels like maybe some people's way in to trying to get something through Hollywood.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Stu, obviously, Ex Machina is probably the high watermark of AI-centered horror. And ever since then, everything feels like a pale imitation. Upgrade was okay, but obviously I didn't like Megan. I thought it was a bit shit. I didn't bother with the second one. There was a film called Afraid with, oh God, what's his name? John Cho, which was out a couple of 3 years ago. We had the Child's Play remake that again was sort of AI-ish. Is this really, like, is it just me being grumpy old man here, Stu, or is this just not really that interesting a topic at this point?
It's just what's out there. Like Ed said, it's easy. Like, what's the big thing? AI. It's like when games all started being massive and 300 hours long, because one or two of them did well doing that, and then everything was like it for the next 5 years, and there was barely a good one out of it. It's like, well, yeah, okay. And big Jimmy C said himself, James Cameron was talking about the other day about how he wants to do another Terminator film, not with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's writing something that's not that's not actually happened, or is so far in the future that it's worth doing again. I thought, well, yeah, because what you said in the 80s has kind of happened. We're on the way. So it's just one of them things, eh? It'll be something else next. It'll be animals. Like, animals are evil. And people will just get bored of it. Like, if you're doing stuff about AI when people are pissed off with AI in the real world, in real life, they're not going to go and watch it in the cinema. So I think that's it. That's it. It'll die there.
Yeah, you want that break from reality, don't you? I think a little bit.
I mean, I liked the Megan. When we talked about it at the time, I thought it knew what it was, and then the second one being not exact. I mean, Ash said it at the time that it's not the same film. It's like a kind of sci-fi comedy compared to the first. But I thought, okay, fine. It was what it was, and that's all it needed to be. But if you're going to get one of these every 2-3 months, it's just going to get boring very, very quickly. Yeah,
I agree. So that's just a selection of a few of the films. We've also got Kate Winslet's directorial debut, Goodbye to June's due out. I think it's Christmas Eve, actually. That's due on Netflix. Sentimental Value has got a lot of buzz. Marty Supreme. You've got The Housemaid, which I'm guessing is probably going to be shit as well. So there's a few things out there as well, but obviously I think now's the best time to get to the cinema because it is the time where you're going to get the you'd hope get the good audience reactions.
You know what, I will just say, because everyone knows about me and Avatar.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get away with it, Andy.
I know.
just for the people who are not in the group chat, it was not as good as the other two. It just wasn't. It was absolutely fine. It was so much like a retread sequel of the second film. It was a very strange situation where you have got scenes that are exactly the same and then a little bit added on at the extra. Like the whale stuff. It was back again. Oh, we've already had the whale stuff. But then the whales are talking again, and then then there's more whales this time. So yeah, we wish we talked about the fire people. They're the interesting part of this one. And they actually were. And it was funnier as well. It was funnier than the other two. But the Marvel, like a bit like how Predator Badlands had the Marvel shtick about it. That's what this had a little bit about it with Quaritch and his big blue alien self being a commando again. But it was fine. It'll make a shitload of money. There'll be another one.
Yeah, like it's already apparently hit 350 million on its opening weekend worldwide. Yeah, it was never in any doubt that it wasn't going to make a fuck ton of money. For me, like, my biggest issue with it is that I don't like how one of the most interesting directors has just been tied up doing this shit for 20 years at this point. I think you could be doing something different, new, interesting, not just giving us sequel after sequel of this blue nonsense.
It is his baby. No one's forcing him.
It is. Well, that's it.
Choice.
I just don't get why he's become this obsessed. It was a bit like when... what was his name? The guy who did Mufasa last year. And he spent years doing Mufasa. And I'm like, well, you could have been doing something so much more interesting. But instead you've wasted 3 or 4 years. Barry Jenkins, who did Moonlight. Like, you're a visionary director and you've wasted like so many years of your career for this. I just don't get it. But...
Mufasa was good though. It was all right. The other Lion King was shit.
I didn't like that either.
No, Mufasa.
I just don't see the point in them. But
Mufasa, being its own story, was a good film. It was fine, and it didn't look as weird either because they did kind of make him a bit more cartoony like, but still looked like photorealistic.
I thought it was incredibly mediocre for a director that have his caliber. I just kind of want a bit more. I think quite disappointed.
It's these passion projects, isn't it? And at this point, maybe there's also ego involved. You're so far into it, you've got to see it through, and maybe the seeing it through, you don't know the out, and you're kind of stuck in it.
See, the old one for me, one for thee thing.
Yeah, I think so. Right, okay, the crux of the podcast then. So we got together because very recently Macaulay Culkin was on, what was it called again, Ed? The name of that?
The Mythical Kitchen.
Mythical Kitchen. He was on an episode of that and he was asked about his opinions on Die Hard being a Christmas film, being as it's probably the most controversial pick, or at least the most famous controversial pick of so-called Christmas films. And Mac's answer was, it's based around Christmas, but if it were also St. Patrick's Day, it would still work. But you couldn't do Home Alone on Memorial Day. Effectively saying that it's a film set at Christmas rather than a Christmas film. So before we answer the question, is this really a Christmas film? Stu, what is a Christmas film to you?
I used to have the opinion that it's anything that can be watched at Christmas time that's got a bit of snow in it. That because it's got the vibe of Christmas. That was it. Didn't necessarily have to even have Christmas mentioned once in it. If it was set at Christmas, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and things like that,
Great
could
film.
be could be set any time of year. Exactly like what Big Mac said there. I think it does need to be split though, because you have got the distinct things like Home Alone and Home Alone 2 do not work. I mean, they might work around Thanksgiving, like Planes, Trains and Automobiles. That can't be set any other time of year. That is a Thanksgiving film, because that's the whole point of it. But when you look at it and you think, well, you can't have a Christmas film without snow. You just can't. It doesn't work. A bit of sleigh bells helps at some point. It doesn't necessarily have to be Santa or Jesus or the boy, as we'll get to later. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It just has to be, for me, the vibe of Christmas time. So a bit of decoration, a bit of sparkle. Even if it is just set dressing and it's never even mentioned once that it's Christmas, it's just there. That's what it always has been for me.
That's fair. Ed, what about yourself? Is there like a checklist that a film needs to hit for you?
I think it really does boil down to that Christmas needs to be integral to the story. The reason that I would argue that maybe we'll come to it, but I think Die Hard 2 is probably more of a Christmas film than Die Hard 1, is because Christmas is more integral to it. And I think maybe what Stu just touched on there, it's Thanksgiving, I guess, for American-based films will also work, because you've got the cliched, it's about family, isn't it? Or about not being alone at Christmas tends to be the trope that you use for Christmas films. So I think whilst I think snow and sleigh bells probably really does help, for me, I think it needs to have an integral link to Christmas for it to be a Christmas movie. If you can replace it, I think, as Macaulay Culkin said, with another holiday, if it could be Pancake Day and it not be any different, then, although that's still Jesus related, it's not a Christmas film.
I agree. I'll even widen it out a little bit further to say winter, because obviously we don't have Thanksgiving in the UK, so I think if it's a Thanksgiving film, I could probably accept it as Christmas, because it's as nearest damn it to us, isn't it? Let's be honest. So I'm happy with it being winter, but it that has to play a role in the film. Like, it can't just be winter and everything else is, could effectively be summer. Like, you couldn't do the right thing in the winter, because it's all about the hottest day of the year. Like, it has to be integral to it to feature in it. I do think there needs to be an element of like family and community to it as well. Like, and I think maybe a bit of a redemption arc. I think that does play a part in Christmassy stuff. So those really are it for me. Probably a bit of warmth coming through it. Like, you want to feel the warm and fuzzies. Or if it's going to be a sad film, I think you want to feel a little bit bereft and lonely, because I think that's the the flip side of the coin if you're going to do sad Christmas stuff. So I think you need to evoke one of those two reactions. I'm not, like, I don't hold anything sort of near and dear with it, but I think you need to hit at least a couple of those in order to be considered a Christmas film for me personally.
He's just named the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, you basically said
that is
Tia and
effective.
Tamira or Melissa Joan Hart. Is what you just said.
Yeah. It's not far off, yeah.
Or the Holdovers. That's the difference.
Oh, what a great film. Is that the best modern holiday film, Christmas film? Because like that feels like it's actually just a very good film in its own right, regardless.
Yeah, the fucking bellends putting it in January here when it came out.
So annoying.
Well, we didn't watch it. We just pirated it and watched it properly. Well, look at the competition. You've got Dear Santa, like we mentioned earlier. You got Last Christmas. The fifth Home Alone film, which was actually okay. But
are we including some of the Netflix things like that Jingle Jangle bollocks with
Jingle
Forrest
Jangle?
Whitaker?
That was good.
I never saw that one.
No, it wasn't good, Stu. And I'm a Christmas nut like you, but it wasn't good.
Did you get
the
the
Kurt
urge
Russell
to go
one was all right. I can't remember what it was called, but the Kurt
Christmas
Russell one.
Chronicles?
The second one was terrible, but the first
was
one
it? Okay. But yeah, and Klaus. I think Klaus, that's in conversation as well for the best modern.
Yeah, the second Christmas Chronicles was a complete joke. It was almost like not the same film at all, which obviously is the point, but it was so far away from what made the first one good. It's like, oh yeah, you've just done Polar Express / The Grinch here. It doesn't work. I liked Red One. No one fucking saw it anyway, but I liked it. It was fun. If it had been released properly and it had been streamed within 2 weeks, I think it might have had a chance.
The only reason it was streamed within 2 weeks is because nobody wanted to see it.
Yeah.
It got a proper release, and because people were like, fuck this shit, they put it straight onto streaming. So I think it was their own fault.
No, we knew that it was coming to streaming, though. We had a date for the streaming.
I don't think that was the plan. I think the original plan was, we'll give it a Christmas run. But it was so badly received, they bumped it up.
Because that's why I didn't watch it in the cinema, because it was coming on streaming. I swear, that's I was going to say swear down like a teenager then. Yeah. I mean, there's a 6-7 chance of it being right. Well, who knows? I said it in terms of getting how many points we'll have by April the other day. And I went about 6-7, complete by accident, without even thinking about it. It's got in my head now. I don't even want it to be there.
Do your kids say it to you?
No, they don't like I asked Ethan about it after that South Park episode. I went, what is this about? And he went, I don't know, it's a TikTok thing.
Yeah, and my kid's Victorian, so don't ask me. He's not into any of this stuff, so he's from a different era.
Yeah, so it's. I think it's probably because he's 14, so it's probably 2 years, like you with Power Rangers, like a year removed from all that nonsense. So, but it's it's bad times. Yeah,
right. So,
Red One was not the best Christmas film of the modern era. I think probably Holdovers probably is the best filmy film.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it was it Oscar nominated in the end?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was, yeah, and that feels unheard of for a Christmas film, unless it's animated.
Yeah, and that is it can't be set any other time of year. It wouldn't work.
No, absolutely not. Right, so first films on the block is, we have to start with Die Hard, I think. Now, I agree with Mac. I don't think the first Die Hard, I don't think it's integral. I think you can change the holiday. I think if that's July 4th, a man's returning to get back together with his wife and family at a July 4th office party, think that is entirely reasonable. I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas film. There's nothing intrinsically Christmassy about it. Whereas I agree with you, Ed. I think Die Hard 2, because you have to have the winter storm in order to fuck up the airport, that's more of a Christmas film. So I agree with what you said, Ed. I don't think it is, and I think the second one is a better one. Ed, have you got anything more to add to that? Are you on side with my opinions on the first as well?
Yeah, the only thing going for it, I guess, is the redemption part, isn't it? He's going back to try and win her back and prove that he's different. But other than the Christmas song in the limo, and Act 1 has a lot of Christmas related things because of the Christmas party, the Christmas music, mentioning that he's going back for the Christmas party. And then it just becomes Alan Rickman and Bruce Willis scene grabbing off each other for the next hour and a half, isn't it? So no, I think in the second one we have an awful lot more. We have the stuff that Stu talked about. We have the snow. We have the winter. We have. There's even a joke in the first one, of course, about going to California, isn't there? And he's boiling hot in the vents. It doesn't have any kind of traditional east coast of America or European snow related Christmas stuff. So no, I don't think it is. You could replace it. The only thing that's got going for it is that other than Thanksgiving, there probably wouldn't be some kind of office party for him to go to. I don't know much about American office culture, but I would assume it would need to be a Christmas or Thanksgiving, probably, or New Year's Eve, maybe. But the fact that it's replaceable means that it's not a Christmas movie.
Stu?
There's Christmas songs in the film. It's part of the soundtrack. Like, they turned Ode to Joy into a Christmas song.
But that isn't...
I know.
References... well, I mean, personally, I wouldn't say that a reference, because you could just change the reference. Like, he's listening to Run DMC's Christmas song. He could have just as easily been listening to Tricky.
He could,
or My Adidas. Like,
but he doesn't.
But they're just references. They're not intrinsic to the story, are they? That's the set decoration.
Yeah, it's the vibe. But do you get advent calendars of films that are not Christmas films? No, you do not.
Probably, to be fair.
And that is little Alan Rickman falling to his death every day.
Alan Rickman's film debut, by the way.
Yeah, amazing.
Mental, isn't it? Your first film, and you give one of the all-time greatest performances as the villain. In fact, I'd say Alan Rickman's got two of the best villain performances of all time when you then throw in the Sheriff of Nottingham as well. Like, that film's just kind of average, but the thing that saves it from being kind of shit is how great Alan Rickman is, just chewing the scenery throughout that movie.
It's very similar with the Harry Potter films too, with Snape.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
But you do get with the whole thing about cutting the power grid as well, and it's Christmas time. And not that it matters because he does it anyway, because he rings on his massive phone. How he even gets in that sewer grate in the first place is quite incredible. But I think it's the exception to this rule, just because of it having a Christmas soundtrack. Somehow it just works. I don't know why. Like, you put Batman Returns in this, you put all the others that are set at Christmas time, and you could replace them because they don't have anything like I said about a bit of snow and all that kind of thing. Maybe a tree in the background. Like we watched, like when we watched Nicolas Cage films, and it's been set at Christmas, and we didn't even know. It was, yeah. They're not Christmas films. They're just set at this time of year. And it's like, okay. But because they go out of their way to do the Christmas stuff and keep mentioning that it's that time of year, have the songs on, I think Die Hard is the one that is different to everything else. As a general rule, if it didn't have that, I'd completely agree. But it does.
I disagree. So the flip side of the coin, obviously, with Macaulay Culkin saying that, you then got a lot of people on the social medias complaining about, well, Home Alone is just the same then. If you'd set Home Alone at what was it, Memorial Day, I think Macaulay Culkin references. If you'd set it at Memorial Day, it would still be the same film. I think a lot of that's sour grapes, and they're just annoyed because he's said something against a film that they like. Stu, could Home Alone be set at a different point of the year and still be the same film? I don't think it is in the slightest, but what do you make of that?
Well, no, because you got the whole point is that he's going around doing the checks at Christmas time, scoping out the houses. That doesn't happen any other time of year because people don't go away and there's people are off. Yeah, they might be off for 1 or 2 days anyway for like 4th of July, like you said, but you wouldn't have the snow and the power being out and all that kind of thing because of the bad weather. Again, like Die Hard 2. You wouldn't have the chaos in the airports. You wouldn't have the chaos in the taxis. It just wouldn't work. And
No.
I'm sure one of 3 or 4 is not set at Christmas. Anyway,
Okay, it's the one I haven't seen because I've seen 3, I think. So I think it might be 4 or the other way around. I can't remember. I've seen one of them. Sorry, I've not seen the one of those 2.
Yeah, the one's not related to any of the characters. I haven't seen them too. Home Sweet Home Alone from a couple of years ago. That's the one I watched because Buzz is the cop. And that is actually all right. But yeah, they did a Home Alone without being set at Christmas. And did it work? No, because no one's seen it. So I think the whole point of it was conceived as a Christmas holiday film by John Hughes. So that's the point.
Yeah. Ed, could you do Home Alone any other time of the year?
No, the whole point is Kevin's obsessed with Christmas. So, no. That is just because someone's dared to have an opinion. And one thing about Macaulay Culkin is he's now allowed to speak out about his thoughts on things. No, it's the most Christmassy of all the Christmas films for me. I mean, Home Alone 2, after Muppets Christmas Carol, is my favourite Christmas film. The whole point of how his mum finds him at the end is the Christmas tree. It's fundamental to everything, and it goes back to what we talked about, what makes a Christmas film. We have snow, we have sleigh bells, we have Christmas songs, we have redemption, and we have the longing to be with other people. Let's not just say family. He wants to be with his family, but it can be friends or whoever you're close to. No, it can't be. It's just because some people really, really love to say that Die Hard's a Christmas film because it makes them think it's edgy when it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I like the motivations of all of the characters in Home Alone are centered around Christmas. The motivation of the Wet Bandits, they're there because they know all of the rich people are going to be away. And maybe the rich people might have been away for a different holiday as well, but they're not going to have stocked up their house with jewellery and toys and gifts and money. Like, they know that those places are going to be stacked to the gills. So that's the perfect time to do it for them. They have the cover of darkness because it's earlier nights. Their motivations are all very much, it's Christmas, so this is what we're going to do. The next door neighbour, he's lamenting the fact that he's fallen out with his son. Obviously, family being such a central part to a lot of Christmas films. We do then have the mirror of Kevin's family having abandoned him. We get Kevin, like, it's almost the story of the Grinch because Kevin's a little shit at the beginning and he grows and becomes, his heart grows sort of thing. That's kind of the point of it. So it hits all of the themes that I expect in a Christmas film, as well as being set at that time of year and that time of year being integral to the motivations and how the story actually plays out. It's the most Christmassy film.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you on the second one. It's all that again.
Yeah, I think also we're obviously in the early 90s here, but I think American culture is slightly better now in terms of things like annual leave and holidays and things. But back then, it really was, you had 2 weeks off in summer, you had a week or 2 weeks off at Christmas, and the rest of the time was pursuing the American dream. God knows what, obviously, Kevin's dad did for a living to have a house that big. But you didn't have time off the way that I think a lot of Europeans did. It wasn't really about having time off. You worked 40 hours a week and you worked weekends, and you knew when you were going to be off, and as you know, that's the other point, isn't it? The wet bandits and the sticky bandits know they have to hit at Christmas, and in the second film, of course, they hit Duncan's toy chest because the money won't go until the day after Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Next on my list, I've got It's a Wonderful Life. Ed, what do you make of that?
That's a Christmas film. We have the snow for Stu. We have the fact that it's as you put in our notes, you know, it's the Christmas Carol pastiche, isn't it? It's about the redemption, isn't it? About this man who thinks that the world would be better off without him, and that's why it's a Christmas movie, isn't it? It's based around him realizing that he had a reason to be there, and there was a reason for him to live, which of course is what Christians would argue that Jesus gives you at this time of year as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, that has to be a Christmas movie, right? It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, there's even Christmas scenes within the movie, if I remember rightly. So it has to be. It has to be.
Stu?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, remember, it's the precursor to the holdovers eat, really. It's an excellent film set at Christmas because it needs to be set at Christmas. It's almost like the anti-feel-good film for most of it. So why
it's miserable, isn't it, for like 95% of it?
So why it's so beloved is quite baffling, really. But yeah, and the fact that it's turned into this thing of, yeah, It's a Wonderful Life has to be on, even though it probably hasn't been on for about 10 years on anything. Like, I don't even remember the last time I saw it. I'm probably talking about teenage years. My granddad was watching him with my granddad a long, long time ago. But again, because they used to watch it all the time, because it was their Christmas film. So yeah, 100% is.
I kind of wonder if it's the least Christmas film of all of the Christmas Carol pastiches. Because this one is the one that does feel like actually possibly could be set at any part of the year. Because it is still just like a retelling of this man's life, or what would have been the life, the world without him in it. I do wonder if it doesn't centre Christmas. It centres the character, which is absolutely fine to do that. I would still say it probably is a Christmas film because it does have the vibes, like you said, Stu, before. Like, it does hit the redemption arc and everything that you want with it. But like the other film that I put on the list next to it was Scrooged, as like a way of comparison, because they are both basically the Christmas Carol, but slightly skewed. And I think that Scrooge does a much better job of centering Christmas. Like, Christmas is integral to that in a way that it probably isn't to It's a Wonderful Life. I think It's a Wonderful Life is just like, it's 51% of the way that's just crossed the line to be just enough. But I think it's, if they'd have done it like Midsummer, it would still have worked as a film regardless of it being Christmas or not.
I think is that just its age, though? Like, Scrooge is 80s consumerism and all that kind of stuff. It's in your face, it's mad. And then you ramp it up one more with Spirited Away from a few years ago, which is the same again, with Ryan Reynolds in this, and the most Christmassy thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Same story. So is that just a case of it's because it's so old and it was a bit more reserved?
I don't think so. I just don't think Christmas is the focus. Like, I don't think, like, the angels just come to Earth just because there's a soul in trouble.
Yep.
Like, that happens year round. I just don't. I think to do enough of the other stuff, like the peripheral Christmas stuff, to make it a Christmas film. I just don't think it's inherently a Christmas film, if that makes sense. In the way that, like, a Muppets Christmas Carol, for example, is very much because it has to be, because we're then seeing the repercussions of what it means for the other families at Christmas time.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's when the Christmas Carol pastiche we go to Christmas Day, past, present, and future, and you see the difference. Whereas in It's a Wonderful Life, you just see what it would be like if he wasn't there. So I would agree. I think it just about borders onto Christmassy, but also maybe some of the Christmassy vibes that we get from it is because growing up it was on the TV at Christmas time. So therefore it becomes part of a Christmas tradition rather than it being maybe born from Christmas tradition.
Yeah, it's a bit like what I said. It was last week or the week before about the animated BFG film because it was on Christmas Day once, and only once.
Well, I'll tell you what. Then I'm going to swap the order around. I've got Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings on here. Are they Christmas films? Because they were films that were released at Christmas. I know, like Lord of the Rings doesn't really have any Christmassy elements, and Stu, you've not seen Harry Potter, but there are like the Christmas ball and stuff. At the what you call it in there. So, is that enough?
No.
There are, obviously Harry Potter the books. There's an awful lot around Christmas. I must admit to being a Potterhead, but it's not integral. The only time it's probably ever integral is when Harry is brought into the Weasley family by hook or by crook, and all of a sudden he's not treated as the weird kid under the stairs that he is when he's in Little Whinging. But no, then there's the Christmas ball. There's a lot of things happen in snow in winter. In particular in the films, they focus an awful lot on it because it makes really good cinematography, doesn't it? Snow and Christmas decorations and backgrounds, but they're not Christmassy at all. And Lord of the Rings, although I think Tolkien was self-confessed massive Christian, I believe. I don't think he.
I believe so.
The allegory of redemption is throughout all of Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Is Frodo Jesus or not? It's very loosely based, isn't it? But it's not quite as obvious as Narnia, which again is maybe one film we could have threw up on there. Andy.
Yeah, that's a good shout actually.
But they're not Christmassy.
No. I mean, obviously, Stu, you're a big Lord of the Rings fan. They feel like they need to be watched at Christmas, in my opinion. But that might be because that's when they were released. But that doesn't make them a Christmas film at the same time, does it?
No, for them 3 years where you had Fellowship, and then the year after you had the extended version of Fellowship going into Two Towers, and then the year after that was the extended version of Two Towers going into Return of the King. It was part of the Christmas vibe, but I have never since watched them at Christmas time, not once. And you can put the same thing again. I'm going to bring it up because it counts. Avatar: The Way of Water and this one are both been released at Christmas. They're not Christmas films in the slightest.
No.
There is Christmas here with Moana, and it's. But what does feel Christmassy though is Wicked. And so? I don't really know why. Maybe just because
it's the music.
Yeah, I think that's because it's musicals. It's like the Mary Poppins-ness, the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang factor.
Original Wizard of Oz is another Christmas staple.
Yeah, so I think there's like festive family favourites is like a section all on its own, and I think that's what Wicked's got. Because they were released at Christmas, and they feel quite wholesome, yeah.
The other thing, I guess, with Lord of the Rings, the only time whenever I do rewatch them, is at Christmas time because it's the time I've got 3 and a bit hours free because I'm off.
Yeah,
so I think that's another thing. It's the same with the Harry Potter films. That the films are nowhere near as good as the books, but as you move on, the films get better. But again, they're insurmountably long compared to the subject matter you've got, and again, you need the time to watch them. And for a lot of parents, in particular, with things like Harry Potter, if it can keep your kid quiet for a couple of hours while you all watch it and pretend you're watching it, and with a tin of roses on your lap, all of a sudden it feels really Christmassy, doesn't it? No matter what it is.
That's true. So what about films which have a small Christmassy / winter element? So I've put down The Shining and Catch Me If You Can. Obviously, The Shining is about a hotel during the shutdown period where they're snowed in effectively. So we do get the visuals of the snow. We're aware that we're in that part of the year, although we don't ever get Christmas mentioned per se. It's a film about family, and it's not redemption, is it? It's quite the opposite. But then you've got Catch Me If You Can, which has this scene where between Frank and Carl, where Frank would call him on Christmas because he had nobody else. Like, we've kind of got the downside of the Christmas films at this point. But is that enough to make it a Christmas movie, Ed?
No, I think the only thing I remember from The Shining, it's been a few years since I've watched it, but there's an awful lot of red and green as well, isn't there, in The Shining, in the hotel and stuff as well. So I think that's another nod to Christmas. I think Catch Me If You Can, it's quite integral, the loneliness that Leonardo DiCaprio's character feels, and that phone call that he does on Christmas, it's more than once, isn't it? So I think, although it's not a Christmas film per se, there's enough of a Christmas element in there that if someone was to put it on a list low down in sort of a top 10, I wouldn't be against it, because we're back to this not having anyone at Christmas, like the guy next door to the McAllisters, is a big issue, and it's an issue that people feel. And at Christmas, we were talking before we went on air about people that maybe go to the pub here in the UK to be around other people, and to not be alone at Christmas is possibly a theme almost as important as having sleigh bells and snow. So I think you could argue, I think Catch Me If You Can, the fact that that's a relatively important couple of scenes, you could argue it could be on a list. I don't think it's a Christmas movie, but out of that or The Shining, it definitely has more of a Christmas element to it.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with all of that, really. Well, The Shining, it never really crossed my mind because it's been a long time since I saw it. But it just doesn't feel like a Christmas film. I think with a lot of these things, because it's been bored into our minds over decades that these are the ones that are on at Christmas, that this is the way it is. And because that's because it's a bit niche and it is what it is. Maybe that's why it suffers with this, but it's got the elements there. But there's films that have got, like, that span the entire 4 seasons of a year, and if they've got a Christmas scene in them, do they count as a Christmas film? I don't think so.
Well, that brings us to the next one then, really. Love Actually.
Bollocks.
Is Love Actually a Christmas film, Stu? It was released at Christmas. It starts and ends with Christmas. It's about love, and not always necessarily positive love, and breakups and family. So is Love Actually, or is it just using Christmas to evoke a reaction, do you think? Evoke an emotion?
I hadn't seen it until a couple of years ago, and we talked about it on here at the time. And I thought it was fine. I thought it's massively overrated. I get it. It's the Christmas rom-com stuff. It's not a Christmas film. You can have things set at Christmas, yeah, fine. You can't have a lot of the film not set at Christmas and then be a Christmas film. Just no.
Ed, what do you reckon?
I think if you followed Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman's family for the film, yes, it's a Christmas film. You know, we've got the Richard Curtis joke of the lobster in the nativity, Alan Rickman buying his secretary or assistant the nice necklace, and Emma Thompson gets the CD. That's very Christmassy. But the American lady having sex with the handsome six-pack guy, that's not Christmassy. Martine McCutcheon falling for the Prime Minister, that's not Christmassy. The bloke out of My Family and Lost in Paradise going to America to try and use his British accent to get laid, that's not Christmassy. The vast majority of whether or not you like that film, and I think when you look at it now with 2025 eyes, you realise that every woman in that film is sort of shit on, really, and used, unabused. It probably doesn't feel good 20 odd years on from it, but also most of the film is set around this, the Richard Curtis is, there's lots of people that, it happens to be that Emma Thompson's brother is the Prime Minister. We've got loads of sliding doors moments but there's only really one family that has Christmas centered around them. So that's probably why you'd argue not. And of course you've got Liam Neeson and his little boy. He's also trying to get laid, despite the fact that he's 13 or whatever, with the drumming, So I think the main theme in that is probably sex rather than Christmas.
Sex, actually.
And I don't think Jesus or the boy would have been very happy with that.
No, I completely agree with both of what you've said. The only story that is Christmas is the Rickman and Thompson one, and I feel like they could have made a film out of that entirely. Yeah,
they're good enough as well,
and you'd want to see that anyway because it's Rickman and Thompson, like they are fucking hands down two of the all-time greats. So yeah, I don't think it's a Christmas film. It's just a film set at Christmas and released at Christmas. About Frozen, like animation inherently feels Christmassy, do we think? Because we associate sitting down on Christmas Day and watching whatever's on during the day, and there's always at least a couple of animated films. Frozen being obviously Frozen, you've got all the snow, you've got the empowerment, you've got the redemption, you've got a little bit of everything. I don't know that Christmas is actually even mentioned in it. I can't particularly recall. It's been a while. But is Frozen a Christmas film, Ed?
It's set in the summer, so no. There you go.
Is it?
Yeah, I think the whole point is she turns everything winter when it's not supposed to be. It's more of a Narnia parody than it is Christmas. No, it's not a Christmas film. We have obviously "Do You Want to Build a Snowman" as a Christmassy vibe song, but no, I don't think it's. I'm trying to rack my brains whether or not there's a Christmas tree in the big house, obviously in the mansion. I don't think so. Not from memory. I don't think there's any real Christmas elements to it. I think we are very much on the fact that it's called Frozen and there's snow and there's a snowman. But the original Snowman with the little ginger kid is way more of a Christmassy film than Frozen.
James is his name. Only because Goldie went dressed up as him for a match once. That's why we know what his name is. No, it's not. It's set in the middle of summer. That's the whole point. That's why there's no Christmas references whatsoever. Again, it's the essence of Christmas, and it feels like a Christmas film. It's not a Christmas film.
Fair. Batman Returns, because there is the element of obviously Penguin being an orphan at Christmas, and they do play on some of the imagery of Christmas, I think. But I don't know if that's just a part of Burton's auteurship as a director, because it does feel like he sets a lot of his nonsense around that period.
He's such a wanker.
He is, isn't he? Like Edward Scissorhands and stuff. Again, he's just sort of like, he wants to evoke winter in all of his nonsense, it feels like to me. Like, I don't know if that's just because I'm not a fan and that's just what I see in it. Someone out there who watches more of his shit probably knows a bit more about it. But is Batman Returns a Christmas film, Ed?
No. There's Christmas elements, of course. There's a big Christmas tree at some point, but no, he does love. It's really easy, like I said earlier. It's really easy to make better cinematography with snow, isn't there? And frozen things, and
obviously you've got the black and white of it, isn't it? Because of obviously Batman, yeah.
But no, it's not. It's not a Christmas film. It's not integral to it, is it? I think it's just one of his many tropes to try and look more of an arty wanker than he actually is. It feels forced, like every single movie I've ever seen of his. It feels utterly forced.
Agreed. Stu?
Oh, Jesse's going to be killing you now. You know what happened last time.
He's welcome on to defend him anytime.
Oh, he said this 2 years ago. It's as much a Christmas film as Die Hard is, isn't it? But at the same time, it's not. But I don't think I've ever watched Batman Returns not in the middle of winter. So, but that's just a me thing more than anything else. It's not integral to it really. It's just adds to the ambience of it all, being penguin and snow and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice easy 90s win. It's not really. It's fun to wind people up with because no one thinks of it.
Staying with superheroes then, Stu. Iron Man 3.
No.
Is that just set at Christmas?
Yeah, it's just set at Christmas, and that was another one where when I did the last time I watched them all, I didn't wait till middle of winter to watch Iron Man 3, and in fact I'd completely forgotten that it was set at Christmas. Such is the quality of that film, anyway. But no, it's not a Christmas film.
No. I struggle to think of any moments in that film that are Christmassy in the slightest.
I mean, there's a bit with a boy where he's like, when he goes back to him and he talks to him and he's lying in the snow and all that bit. Maybe that's all there is.
But even that isn't necessarily Christmas, is it? Like, that's if they'd have done that and it'd have been spring and he's lying in a field of daffodils, it's still exactly the same, isn't it? Ed, what do you reckon?
It's more of a Christmas film than Batman, if we're going on which superhero film is more Christmassy. Just that based on the fact that I think it is Christmas Eve, isn't it, for most of it, the film? But it's not. It's not Christmassy. Redemption is a big part of nearly every Iron Man movie anyway, isn't it? That he's a dick to people and then all of a sudden he's not a dick anymore. So I don't think you could argue that any Iron Man scene any Iron Man related film has probably got some redemption in it. But no, I think Stu's hit the nail on the head. The only thing that's vaguely Christmassy is his relationship with that boy. But he also has a very similar relationship with Peter Parker, doesn't he? And none of that's Christmassy. So no, I think this is a bit of a stretch. It's a bit cold at times as well, isn't it? To give it its, tick that winter box. But no, it's not Christmassy.
Yeah. So the last one I've got on my list then will be Gremlins. Stu, this is a Christmas film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even... I know, like, they bring Gizmo back as a Christmas present, don't they? And I don't know that there's Christmas comes in at any other point where it has to be Christmas. But the visuals that they use in this and everything, like, whilst I would dismiss the reference points in something like Die Hard, in this, I think the reference points are so overwhelming in this movie that it just has to be Christmas.
It's exactly the same for me. You see, exactly what I said about Die Hard is the same for this. Gremlins 2, no, not a Christmas film.
No.
Die Hard with a Vengeance, not a Christmas film. So you could have the same franchise, different settings. It works perfectly well. Gremlins is set at Christmas. It is everywhere. It's a Christmas film.
Now, I could argue that Die Hard is exactly the same as Gremlins 2.
But Gremlins 2 hasn't got...
They could have just done Die Hard as they did Gremlins 2. And Gremlins 2 is not a Christmas film. So the only thing that Die Hard's got is that it's just set at Christmas. So it comes back to my argument that it's not a Christmas film. It's just a film set at Christmas.
Yeah, but so is Gremlins, though.
No, but I think there's more to Gremlins. I think there's inherently more Christmas in it, where it's like overwhelmingly Christmas. Whereas I think Die Hard suffers from not being set, by being set in California, so it doesn't look Christmassy. Ed, talk to me on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Die Hard 3 can't be Christmassy because you can't have the N-word being said so liberally in a Christmas movie. That's so anti-Christmas, it's unbelievable. Yeah, well, Gizmo's a present, isn't he? So it starts and ends there for me. I think that's the argument winner. Then people like Stu would argue, well, John McClane's going back for a Christmas party with his wife, so that is the start and end of that being a Christmas film. So I do get that. I do get the argument, but no, there's enough of it being around Christmas and winter. I think you're right. I think we touched on it earlier, and I think I mentioned it about the whole point of John McClane. He's boiling hot because it's so unchristmassy. It's cold in Gremlins. it's clearly set at winter, which I think is an important part of. Although most of the world in December, probably half of the world isn't going to be cold in December. The Christmassy feel means that it has to be cold. I think Gremlins is a nailed-on Christmas film.
Yeah.
There's a point. Have we ever had an Australian Christmas film?
No, they're weird. It's they have like barbecues and pavlova, don't they, for Christmas? It's weird down there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm trying to think. The only Australian film that like springs to my mind is the one that we saw this year with Nick Cage, The Surfer.
Yeah.
Like I'm struggling to think of anything else Australian, like predominantly Australian that we've seen.
I've seen a film with Sally Phillips as a female. A female that helps early 20s men realise that there's more to relationships than just getting sex. But that's an Aussie film. But that's not Christmassy either. That was just an excuse for me to see Sally Phillips in some kind of vaguely erotic films.
Lovely Sally Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to quickly Google Australian films. Because I'm struggling to think of anything. I know there was the one with Tim from The Office, the zombie film. I can't remember what it was called. I think that was an Australian production. According to Google, Mortal Kombat is an Australian action film. Is it? Outback?
Bush Christmas.
Yeah, looking at the Cargo, that's the one I'm thinking of with Martin Freeman, Tim from The Office. That's a decent horror film on Netflix. I don't know what it is about Australian. Australian cinema doesn't feel like it's had a breakthrough movie. I don't know if I'm being harsh there.
Not since Crocodile Dundee, right?
Yeah, I mean, Crocodile Dundee's on the list. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, I think that's, very well known. Predestination, the one I told you about this year, Stu, which Sarah Snook's in it. Quite like her. But there's no real breakout big hit in
was
quite the
Muriel's
way that
Wedding?
other countries.
Was Muriel's Wedding at Aussie?
Yeah,
that one I
Tony
think
Collette's
was,
Australian, isn't she?
That one was vaguely well received. It was at least well received in the UK, but we obviously have a bit more of a relationship with Australia than you would argue America.
Yeah, well, at that time we had Neighbours and Home and Away and all the stuff, didn't they? So we have got quite a good relationship with their TV stuff. But yeah, I don't know that they've had a real breakthrough moment in cinema.
I'm not watching an Aussie Christmas film. That's just mental. That doesn't have any of the tropes.
No, I don't like the sound of it at all, to be honest. Lesbian Space Princess, we'll watch that one. That's an Australian film they've released this year. Lesbian Space Princess. It's animated. That's less interesting. It was released on September 11th. Never forget. Wow.
I see it every year because my cousin Danielle lives in Sydney now, and the pictures she puts up, and it's like, there's no Christmas.
I guess that's the thing. We're talking about Christmas here, and we think it's winter. A lot of these films we talked about are American, and of course, there is a vast majority of that ridiculously sized country that won't be cold in a week's time.
It's looking 7 degrees here. Isn't it cold enough?
Mind you, Todd texted me the other day, and it was minus 20 degrees in Minnesota. Minus 20 degrees C.
That's what you want.
So some have got, it's not just cold, it's gone completely well past cold.
That country's mental. That's why none of them leave it, because you don't need to.
Yeah.
You can whatever you actually want from your terrain, you can find by car if you're desperate enough.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
Do you know what I think is weird about Christmas films? When you sent me the text earlier, Andy, my first thought was Christmas film, Bond.
Mm-hmm.
But not one of them has any Christmas references. But it's because that's what I think of when I think of a Christmas film. With a elderly relative, normally a granddad, moving forward when Pussy Galore's on the screen. Because that's all they had. They didn't have the internet back then. But none of those are Christmas films. But my instant reaction after I go past Home Alone and Muppets Christmas Carol was some kind of old school Bond movie that I can't stand. I'm not a Bond fan at all.
No.
But in my head, they're Christmas films because they're on ITV and now ITV2 every Christmas.
Yeah, Die Another Day this year. Shittest one.
There you go.
Oh,
Interestingly, Pierce Brosnan was asked if James Bond would enjoy Christmas. This is like yesterday, Sunday in the people's world. And his response was, I don't really want to answer the question, and I'm not going to answer the question because I couldn't give a fuck. Why would I waste my time thinking about James Bond would be on Christmas Day? I fucking love that answer. That's brilliant. I associate it with Easter more so than Bond because I associate it with bank holidays, and bank holidays feel more of a spring, summer. But you are right, like it is the kind of thing that you find on TV at that point of the year. And one of the characters was Christmas Jones or something. What was the name, Stu?
Yeah, that's right.
Dr. Christmas Jones.
It was Christmas Jones. I was making up the last name.
Is that a Pierce Brosnan one?
Yes, it was from The World Is Not Enough.
I
thought Christmas only comes once a year.
Yeah, that's it. That's the line.
That's the one. Jesus Christ. That's why I don't watch those films.
Yeah, they're awful.
That's the one with Robert Carlyle with a bullet in his head for the whole film.
Isn't that GoldenEye?
No.
GoldenEye. From GoldenEye?
Robbie Coltrane is in both of them films.
Right, maybe that's where I'm getting mixed up with Cracker.
Sean Bean is in GoldenEye.
That's the other one I'm thinking of.
I've seen one of the shit ones. I don't know how bad all of Brosnan's are, but I like one of the ones that's supposed to be like one of his really bad ones.
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day is not a good one. GoldenEye was okay. I remember liking GoldenEye.
Tomorrow Never Dies is a better film now than it was then.
It was on when I was listening to one of the How Did This Get Made podcasts. They did a Bond, so I had to watch it, unfortunately. But I couldn't tell you what it is now, like it's been that long.
Well, Tomorrow Never Dies is about media mogul.
Yeah, it's more relevant now, isn't it? It was loosely based on Rupert Murdoch, wasn't it?
And he's got Terry Hatcher. She's in that one.
It might be that one. I think I remember the one with Terry Hatcher. I don't know. I don't care. It's shit. Regardless, I think that a Christmas film ultimately is whatever makes you feel the warm and fuzzies at this time of year. I think that's all that matters, realistically. Like Christmas is can be such a tough time for people that if you can find something that gives you a little bit of joy and if it's a silly film, so be it. That's all that matters to me at the end of the day. Speaking of which, if there is anyone out there who is struggling this Christmas day, we are on Twitter and Blue Sky. Please reach out. I say we. I'm the only one of us three here who is on. But please reach out if you need a chat or anything at all. The DMs are always open. Not to you, Stu. So
nothing's happened to me.
I hope everyone does enjoy Christmas. Myself and Stu will be going on and talking about The Carpenter's Son, unfortunately. So please stick around for that. But Ed, thank you for joining us. You will be sticking around a lot more next year. The plan is both yourself and Ash Dolan will be joining the crew, and it'll be 3-4 people per podcast is the plan as we move on to our next deep dive, which we will announce in due course. Ed, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
See you later.
Thanks for joining us for the final part of the pod and the final part of 2025, as far as we're aware, unless we decide to record something last minute. But it wouldn't be the first time that we've done that, to be fair, Stu. The amount of times we've said, well, we'll end it here, and then all of a sudden we come up with some fucking ridiculous idea.
Well, the thing you end at the end of last week's episode saying, we'll see you next year, and then we've done this.
Yeah, we do have previews for it, don't we? Ridiculous.
I mean, it would have been better to end it there than watch this nonsense, but...
I'm kind of glad that... Because obviously this is a film about Jesus, so it sort of makes sense to have it on Christmas Day, and we end 2025 having completed Nick Cage's filmography. I know we thought we'd done it anyway, and I didn't think this was due out until early next year, but then it appears on streaming. And I'm like, okay, let's just get it done and get it out of the way. I remember when we first heard about this, I was kind of intrigued because it was a horror film set around the years of Jesus Christ that aren't in the Bible. So like it's his early years, I believe. I mean, I'm not a Christian, so that kind of stuff's kind of lost on me. But I thought, if nothing else, that's an interesting premise. Is that fair to say, do you think?
Yeah, it's like based on like how parts of the Hobbit are based on the Silmarillion, and it's like this famous lost text. That's kind of, some believe it, some don't. But when you look into it and you think, okay, Nicolas Cage can do horror. We saw this in Longlegs. We know what he's like. How low budget this going to be? How shit's it going to be? Nothing could prepare me for this. What we actually came out with, and I mean, you literally put the the list of the top 10 worst films of the year, and I almost thought, well, surely this masterpiece is not going to be part of it. After I'd seen 5 minutes, and the first 5 minutes, well, first 10, 15 minutes, I'm actually quite gripped with it. I thought, oh, this is all right. This is quite moody, and it's showing a lot better than its budget's obviously allowing it to be. Wig Watch is back, and
back with a vengeance. Yeah,
two Wig Watch, young and old Cage, Carpenter. Because it's not Joseph and it's not Jesus. Obviously, we just have to say that now. And when he said Satan, I burst out laughing.
Yeah, same. Even like I might say, so I watched this a few weeks ago and then rewatched it literally 10 minutes before we started recording. And I laughed both times at Satan. I was like, fuck's sake. There was I don't know if it was the type of music or the fact that there was so much music going on throughout this film. The whole movie felt like a trailer. Like it felt sort of incomplete. And there was just something ethereal about this movie that just sucked the life out of it as a 90 whatever minute spectacle.
It felt long. And
dude, I watched it on 1.5 speed this afternoon. It still felt long.
I mean, there was one point where I thought, have I nodded off? And I just rewound it like 10 seconds, and I hadn't. Because I looked at, and I was convinced I'd gone to sleep. And it's not like it's boring. It's just not very well edited at all. And there's bits in it. It's got some good ideas. I thought, oh well, okay. You're giving him this Jesus as this creepy kid who's healing lepers and all this kind of nonsense. And okay, but then that would be scary to people if they've never seen it before. Of course it would. It makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So then to have Satan in the form of, like he even says at the start, your worst enemy takes the form of someone who will tempt you in, and all the usual Bible stuff. And she looked a bit like Bella Ramsey on a bad day. And yet, when you saw its true form, I did get semi shivers. It was a bit like a bit uneven, like uneven kind of thing. It's just a bit meh. The whole thing is just, it's a nice idea. The fact that it's down to the crazy Cage of it all anyway. The fact that he did this to kind of prove a point that he could do like a Robert Eggers film.
And it's so far away from Robert Eggers' standard of movie. Yeah. It's just like a vague allusion to the type of work that he does.
And I think that's what the music. I think the music with the warm and all the whomping and all that kind of stuff. I think that's what this is. I think it's trying too hard.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think so. Ooh, so apparently the budget was around $10 million. Oof. There's nothing. I see nothing on screen in this film that would warrant 10 million, other than like the few parts of torture that we see. Like there's a little bit of makeup used in the when we see people being executed and tortured and stuff like that. But even that 10 million seems like a very, very high budget for a movie of this caliber, because it is so low rent. Just like it has an air of a TV movie about it almost, I think.
Yeah. And like, without even looking, I thought, well, that's obviously in Greece. You can just tell.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's got all like the trappings of Greece, hasn't it?
So they didn't even go to like a neighbouring Arab country or anything like that. But obviously they could because of blasphemy rules.
Yeah, that is true.
Which is why they're called what they're called. I'm guessing, but at least do a bit better. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to Greece. This is a bit of free land where we ain't got to pay anything for, so we'll film it here and pretend that it's in Israel. It's just very not, is it? It's just it looks cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It looks cheap. The snake stuff was all right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going from the solid serpent, and like the set of the house where he's boarding it up. I thought that was okay. You spent a bit of dough here, but then you go outside and it's okay. It's like Power Rangers level. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I was thinking it's sub Tatooine at the beginning of New Hope.
Yeah,
like it's not even to that level of authenticity with it. It just. I didn't like the visuals at all in this. It all kind of looked a bit grubby. It all looked a lot darker than I think it needed to. Like the lighting and stuff, just on the technical side of things, it felt very badly put together. I liked the concept. I think there is an interesting tale to tell of, the boy and the stranger. Obviously, they built a whole fucking religion off the back of the nonsense. So there is something there, obviously. It was kind of thought-provoking, but unfortunately, I kept checking my watch. And, like, I think it was like I'd got in, like, 10, 15 minutes. I was like, oh, surely this is going to be over soon. And like, no, there's still over an hour left of this movie. I was thoroughly bored. So... I don't suppose you've got that list handy. I put it in the group chat, didn't I, yesterday? Of the worst films of the year. Right. So, we had a Nick Cage film, third worst film of the year, in Gunslingers. I think I dislike this more.
Yeah.
I think this is the worst film.
This is the worst film of the entire year.
Like,
War of the Worlds
probably is worse than War of the Worlds. You are right, yeah.
Because at least War of the Worlds is funny. It doesn't need. It's obviously not meant to be funny, but it is. It's got some redeeming. I'm going to watch that again. This is atrocious.
It's funny to rag on War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
like there's enough there that I think you can have a good time without it being a good film. This doesn't even have that. Like I think. Tonally, it's a mess. I think the pacing is terrible. I don't like its politics, if I'm perfectly honest. It feels very much women should be subservient and women are evil, because obviously the stranger / Satan is a woman in this. It's not scary, so it's not a fucking horror. They could have really leaned into some horrific shit, and they just didn't. So I think the bad is... Like, the good is just fucking tiny little... it was an interesting idea. But unfortunately, what that idea produced, everything else is just bad.
Yeah. I mean, no one comes out of it. Obviously, Cage is head and shoulders above everyone else without even trying.
By a country mile, yeah. That FKA Twigs, I only know her from The Crow that was out... Was it this year, The Crow? Was that last year? It was last year, wasn't it, I think? That was fucking terrible as well. So I'm at the point now where I think she might be a terrible actor. Either that or she just picks the worst possible films. Because those are two films. If I'm going to double check, I think it might have been last year. and that would have been one of my worst films of last year. The Crow would have. The Crow 2024 last year. So that would have been one of the worst films that I saw last year. This is one of the worst films I've seen this year. I can only assume she's dog shit. That's the only explanation for it. What else has she actually done? Oh, there's a lot of musical stuff. Let's have a look at her as an actress. Right, okay. So that's a music video. She was in Honey Boy, which was okay. That was Shia LaBeouf's the film that he wrote and then starred in. Honey Boy was good. I don't think she had a big part in that. Noah Jupe was in that though, and he's obviously playing Jesus in this. But she had a small role in that. That's not enough to. Brighton Beach, I didn't see. Oh yeah, so then it's The Crow and Carpenter's Son. So yeah, two absolute fucking stinkers. So I don't know why she's famous, but I'm starting to think it shouldn't be for acting at the very least.
Well, that Noah Jupe, I think he was. There were times where he was okay, and then there's others where when his eyes went big for no reason. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think he has a very tough job playing that particular role. Like it's not an easy, it's big shoes to fill, I suppose, in some respects. So, like, I'd cut him a little bit of slack, but he's not good. He's very bland. The girl who plays Satan is acting circles around him in parts, but then in other parts, like, she's so over the top and so ridiculous that maybe that's what the character calls for, because he's kind of one note through a lot of the film. But again, I don't know if I just don't understand a lot of his performance, I think. Whereas Cage, I feel like you can see Cage's motivation and what drives him throughout the film is quite obvious. I think Cage, you just can see that Cage is the only real actor on set, which sadly we've said too many times with these low budget movies of his, because this surely can't be a passion project of his. You kind of thought, I need to get this one done, but he's a producer on this movie.
He gets these crazy things, and like Gunslingers is on that list for a reason, and he's the best thing about Gunslingers
by a mile.
He doesn't need to be doing it anymore. Like, why are you doing it for? Just because
he's the best thing about Gunslingers, and he's doing the fucking worst accent you've ever heard. That's how bad that film is.
And it's still better than this.
Yeah.
And it's being bored is the worst part about it all. Like, being angry is better than being bored.
Yeah. And
there was just nothing going for it, like, whatsoever. Like, he never got you up enough to be disappointed, because you were never thrilled to be disappointed in the first place. It's just like, oh, okay, what's happening next?
Like, even the torture bits, like, make it grisly. Like, with Passion of the Christ, for example, like, that's an okay-ish film. But the torture stuff, it's fine. But it's gruesome. And I think they could have at least done that, like, give me a bit of excitement, you know.
But Spartacus?
Nothing.
Spartacus years ago?
I've never got round to the TV show. The film's all right, though.
Oh, the TV. You said that it's back now, in a way.
Yes, I meant to tell you. I'd completely forgot about it until you just mentioned it. So what are they doing with it now? What's the plan?
They've basically brought it back. So one of the villains of the piece, obviously because Spartacus had the unfortunate issue with the guy getting non-Hodgkin's
cancer, I believe.
He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and died, which again is rare in itself. But he picked out his replacement himself.
Oh, wow.
While he was well enough. And in the end, the guy who replaced him was better than him anyway, and he was in it for longer. So, a bit like the Tennant to Eccleston kind of thing with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And so it ended fine. But what they've done now, they've gone all what if? Like, what if this certain character wasn't beheaded?
Okay.
And then it's carrying on with his story. No,
That's really weird.
yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? That's so bizarre.
I've never seen anything like it before. Well, I haven't watched it yet. It's like, well, I don't even know if I want to watch it. The Spartacus was a great show.
Mm.
And they did like a mini spin-off, like a 4-episode miniseries to see if he could get over his cancer.
Mm.
So it was like a prequel. So you had the first season 1 and a prequel, and then season 2 with someone else because he obviously couldn't get better. But yeah, now they've got this spin-off of a guy who was beheaded.
Strange.
But yeah,
The
that
money must be there. That's it. What a weird thing to do.
Even back then was way more gruesome than this film,
Mm.
and that was a TV show.
Mm. Terrible. I think we've answered. Did you enjoy it? Because it's a resounding no from me, and I assume from you, Stu.
Yeah, it's terrible, awful.
Yeah. Was Cage good?
Yeah.
I
thought he
I
was
think he was.
There were times where he was brilliant, like the moment of crazy caginess in this, where he's kicking off and he's screaming and great, well, way more than this deserved.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Don't get me wrong. I think in the annals of time, this won't go down as one of his great performances, but he is so much stronger than everybody else in this film that, like, it has to be good. Maybe if you put it up against some of his other performances, maybe it doesn't hold up. I don't know. But like in and of itself, yeah, he's very much on the good side of things here. Final question then, Stu. If you liked The Carpenter's Son, you may also like. What you got?
I mean, passion's the obvious answer, but just go and watch Life of Brian and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I've got, if you want like a Cage God stuff, Left Behind. It's terrible, but you'll laugh at it, whereas you won't laugh with this. The Exorcist is a better look at like battle with demons, and a bit of a left field shout from me would be The First Omen from last year, which I thought was a brilliant movie, like surprisingly really good movie about, again, Christ demon nonsensey stuff.
I mean, this film is trying to be The Witch, and it's not.
Yeah, it's trying and failing miserably. I genuinely couldn't recommend this to a soul.
No.
Like, even Cage Completionists, I'd say you might want to give it a swerve because it's soul-sucking. This will, if and when like we get to the very end of all of Cage's work in God knows how many years, Stu, I feel like this will be quite low down because it's, I mean, recency bias obviously is going to play a role in this, but there are films in our bottom 5s, or bottom 10s, where I think I at least had a laugh. Like I said, Left Behind. Left Behind is a terrible film, but I at least had a laugh at that, whereas I've got nothing of interest. I've got nothing to hang my hat on with this to say I at least enjoyed that, because I didn't enjoy anything about it.
So looking at this, Prisoners of the Ghostland better, Jiu-Jitsu better, 211 better, Humanity Bureau better. I mean, this is on a par with. It's probably on a par with USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage.
Yeah.
So in all the others, like Ethiopian Toothache film, whatever that was called.
Time to Kill.
Yeah, there you go. And Wings of the Apache. Both of they were not good, but at least they had something about them. This is just nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're a long way off, hopefully a long way off ever completing Cage's work with what's due out in the future, but Christ, I think this could be quite quickly forgotten. Or at least I hope so. It's definitely one I will never be watching again anyway.
No, never ever.
But anyway, it's about Jesus, so watch it because it's Christmas time. Right, so that is us done for 2025. I promise this time we won't be back next week. Make sure you've got us on whatever podcaster that you listen to us on, and if you could leave us a review, that would be so helpful and might even get us a few more listeners next year, and we will love you forever for it. As I said earlier, we are on the socials. It's at Cage Fighting Pod on Twitter and Blue Sky and TikTok, and I think that's it because I never bothered with Facebook in the end. I'm going to try and do Letterboxd again next year, Stu, but that's what happens every time. I do 3 and then forget about it. So I'm going to see if I can get to 4 this year, or next year maybe. That might be the try.
But you'd be on it like every day.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this. Like, for some reason, I got to like February before I forgot to list the films that I was watching. But I did keep a list of my 2025 running total. So only films that were released this year. So I've watched so far 82 films that were released in 2025. I don't know how many films I've watched overall this year because of all the other stuff. So yeah, we're on 82 at the minute. I don't think I'm going to get to 100 in the space of a couple of weeks. Because I mean, that's like another 18 films. Even for me, that feels like it's a bit of a push. But I'm quite pleased with if I end on maybe 90 by the end of the year for 2025 releases. I'm good with that, I think. Like there are some shorts and stuff in there as well. Oh, there's another short film that I forgot to log as well.
I wonder.
So, yeah, there's stuff out there, but I am looking forward to next year doing our top 5s because I feel like we've had a decent year, you know. I really do. Like, I don't think we hit the highs of 2023 because I think 2023 was arguably one of the greatest years of film ever.
Yeah, and there was a lot of holdovers. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is running it close. It's been a good year.
I'm probably on about 30, I think, for the year. So I know
this is stuff at the cinema, stuff on streaming, Netflix and everything. So this is, you know, everything that was released at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The short film that I forgot to log that I would actually recommend to you, Stu, a really sweet little short film. It's available on the 4OD or whatever Channel 4's streaming platform is now. And it's called The Second Time Around. And I think it's only like 15 minutes or so. And it's a really sweet, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey tale that is almost like, if you watch it, there's horror elements to it, but it's not a horror. And it's so well made. I really fucking enjoyed it. And I was meant to tell you about it a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's available on 4OD or whatever it's called now. I don't actually know. But The Second Time Around, it's well worth a watch. It's got an 8.0 on IMDb. So it's been very well received as well. I'm going to add that to my list to make sure I don't forget about that one. So yeah, I'd recommend that. Right, I forgot where I was. Oh yeah, so socials, Cage Fighting Pod at Cage Fighting Pod, and cagefightingpod@gmail.com if you've got any emails you want to send our way. And for the last time this year, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Get the Baileys down you. Try.
It's goodbye from me too. I hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope that the new year brings everything that you need. And remember, be excellent to each other.